What's up, guys? Mike Patrick. In this video, I'm gonna be doing a little bit of a review on They Clone Tyrone. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys my take a little bit, just a little bit. So it made me think of, when I first saw it, or after watching it for the first couple times, I thought of like Enki's laboratory. Now, if you guys don't know about Enki, Enki is a mythological character from the Sumerian stories. Okay, the Sumerian mythology. Okay. In some mythologies, in Greek mythology, I think it's Greek, he's called Hermes. Is that Greek or Roman? Yeah, Greek mythologies, he's called Hermes. In Egyptian mythology, he's called Thoth. Some people say he's Christ, or he was Christ incarnated, and all those, like I said, all those other people that they say incarnated and things like that. All right, so that's who Enki is, and he was a master geneticist. Okay, and so it made me think of that right away. Once it got all the way towards the end, and they was in a laboratory, and they met up with the geneticists, like Tyrone had met up, or not Tyrone, I'm sorry, I forgot his name in the movie, because we thought it would be Tyrone, right, until the movie came out, and he had Fontaine. So Fontaine was actually, when he met up with his self, which ended up being the master geneticist, and he had actually cloned himself numerous times, and one of his clones was Fontaine. All right, so it made me, like I said, right away, it made me think of Enki. You know what I mean? The master geneticist and things like that. So that was just really interesting. So go look up the Sumerian tablets and Sumerian mythology and things like that, and I don't want to get too much into that right now. Another nugget in the movie, people call them Easter eggs now, but I like to call them nuggets, like another little thing to think about. And mind you guys, this is just my take on the movie, and lining it up with like mythology and other things, and just what it brought to mind. Okay, it's a movie, don't take it too seriously, right? So another thing is, I liked in the movie, or it made sense, where if you think about that, the older guy, the older gentleman who would sit outside the store, and Fontaine would come out and give him some of his 40 or whatever, he reminded me of like an oracle, okay, or like a seer, or a wise old sage or something like that. And it's funny because like in that type of community, he would just be considered, to a lot of those people, he would just be considered an old drunk bum or something like that, who sat outside the store babbling a bunch of incoherent things that they couldn't really understand. And it was funny, Fontaine probably took him that way as well. But it was funny how also, you know, once Fontaine had experienced certain things, all of a sudden he didn't just walk past that man no more and just pour some beer in his cup. Now he was kind of thinking about it like maybe it's something I need to get from it. Maybe I need to listen harder to what this old man's saying. You see what I mean? And he looked at him more like an oracle, you know what I mean? And the whole time, somebody who he thought was just saying a bunch of stuff that didn't make any sense, he actually was the one with all the answers the whole time. If you really listen to him, and if you really was able to piece together what he was saying, the things he was saying, it always led to something. You know what I'm saying? Something deeper. So that was really interesting. Then obviously the stuff that certain people have been talking about for years now, like that it's stuff in the food and all that, and how, you know what I mean, people was eating the chicken and addicted to the chicken, and the different stores in the community, how, you know, it was little bases, those were like little stations, you know what I'm saying? And how people talk about, you know, the certain food that's in certain communities is not necessarily sold outside of those communities and things like that, and how it tastes good, but it ain't really all that good for you and things like that. So, you know what I mean? But that's just old hat stuff, you know what I mean? What else was in that movie? Some more nuggets. Also I like how it showed how like the geneticist was able to take and give thoughts to Fontaine, okay? Which is really interesting, because if you were a clone, you know what I mean, you ask yourself in that movie, like, how was he able to, we know a movie is a movie. It's not going to answer every little question. If you pick apart a movie, there's little things you can be like, there's no answer for this, or this didn't make sense or whatever. But it's for the sake of the movie. How long could the movie be? You know what I mean? So you just got to get the overall gist. But you would ask yourself, well, how did he, you know what I mean? How did he know, or how was he able to die? You know what I mean? And not realize how I want to say it. All right. For example, when he went in there to check on his mom, like, how was he waking up every day not realizing that you didn't go in there once and just decide to actually check on her, or you didn't actually see her outside the room? Like, how was you waking up every day and not actually seeing your mother? At some point, it would have seemed like you would have been like, all right, I need to see you. And then he got to that point where he said, I need to see you. After certain things happened, and I think he was able to be given certain memories so he could start to piece it together, like it was done on purpose, which is another observation, or another funny thing, or another piece of the puzzles, like how, you know what I mean, he started to give him certain memories that would make him be able to piece it together. Otherwise, he could have just stayed asleep the whole time, because, you know, the geneticists didn't have to give him certain memories. He could have just wiped them and he would have never remembered it. Just like how he got shot and he died and he didn't remember that. To him, it just seemed like he was waking up the next day. It could have seemed like a dream to him and he woke up out the dream, or he could just not really remembered it. You know what I mean? And so that was interesting. That was a whole take on it, or a whole nother little nugget that people don't really consider. Like, you know what I mean? Perhaps your thoughts could be given to you or taken from you. Memory could be given to you or taken from you at any given moment. You know what I mean? And the reason I say that is because, too, I actually had an experience where, you know what I mean? I was in a hospital one time, man, and they shot me with something, right? And there was a person in the room with me, and they shot me with something, you know what I mean? And then they put the sheet over my head, as if, to me, that was symbolism of somebody dying. Like, you don't, even if you shooting somebody with something to maybe calm them down or something like that, you won't put a sheet over their head as if they passed away, in my opinion. You know what I mean? But you know, and a couple times that this happened, you know what I mean, I could never remember how, you know what I mean, how I woke up, say, in a behavioral center and things like that, which go to show you, like, you could just really, your memory could be wiped or blank, you know what I mean? And it's funny how it's certain things that I can remember, but there's certain things that I can't. And it's almost like, in my opinion, like the Most High allowed me to remember certain things. If it made sense for me to remember what I need to remember, he allowed me to remember it. If not, then I guess I don't, you know what I mean, or I wouldn't. But it's funny how, you know what I mean, I would, once from the emergency room to, say, the behavioral center, I have no recollection of waking up there or anything like that. You know what I mean? I be trying to piece it together in my mind. Like, okay, can I remember waking up and getting breakfast? Or like, when do I remember getting to this point? And it's like, it's almost like it was just wiped. So that's really interesting in that movie too. What else, man? What else? I feel like it was so much in that movie. And then, of course, we always, you know, for all the conspiracy theorists out there, you know, you always have heard about underground, or been suspicious of underground bases and things like that, right? So that wasn't anything unusual to some of us. Of course, a lot of us already know by now, or have been hip to, you know, music is frequencies and tones and things like that. So they had the scene in there where they were in the club, and, you know, the DJ was playing the music and things like that, and he said it was mind controlled music and things like that, right? What else? I feel like it was another point. Every time, whenever I'm off camera, it's like all the ideas be flooding in and flooding through, you know what I mean? Then it's like when I start to record, sometimes I'll forget. Then when I'm finished recording, that's when I'll be like, oh yeah, damn. But it usually comes back, and I'll express it in some other video or something like that. What else in that movie? I was talking about wiping his memory and giving him memories. Oh, but then you would ask yourself, when they wiped this, like something happened to him, why wasn't it, like, how many times could that have happened to him? How many times could he have passed away and he didn't realize it? But you ask yourself, like, what about everybody else around him? How could his life just keep carrying on without somebody pointing it out to him, like what Jamie Foxx ended up doing in the movie when he was like, I swore I just saw you get killed last night. How are you back now? You see what I'm saying? So that was interesting too. Like, if that does happen, but see, that's the point I wanted to make. So how something like that could happen is if you would take, and this is gonna be really good. If you was taken away, you know what I mean, and somebody, but if you was taken away, like if it was actually a secret, like it wasn't something out in the open. Like, obviously, if you get killed and a bunch of people can see you, then it's not a secret. Then you come back, and then people will be like, you know, I sworn I saw you get killed, or I could swear that I saw you die, right? But if you get taken into a hospital or something, you anything like that, and then you just come back out, do people really know if you haven't been replaced with a cloned version of yourself? Now, this is just, you know what I mean, theoretical and for the sake of the movie, right? But and if they can wipe your memory and things like that, then how do you know you didn't? They talk about this in abduction stories, like people who have abduction experiences. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if your memory been wiped. You can't remember. You could be missing time and things like that. So that was interesting to me. Like, yeah, I just thought that was real interesting. Like, and I'm sorry, it's a lot of distractions around me, other people around me. You know what I mean? Things like that. And when I'm talking about stuff like that, you know, that obviously a lot of people coming around you and stuff, that becomes very distracting. But I don't know, guys. So I just thought that was real interesting. The movie was a really good movie. If you haven't checked out They Clone Tyrone, check out They Clone Tyrone, guys. I might make a part 2 to this because I think it's some other stuff that I'm forgetting, and I'll probably come back with a part 2. But I think this one was all right to start with. All right, peace.